I'm just going to kick off this one with a supporter question from Big Man Upstairs. Gentlemen, let's get down to brass tacks. John, did you see anything interesting on your travels that you'd like to share with the group? Now, you spent a couple of weeks in Japan. You went to the Tokyo Game Show. You did a big bunch of visits with game developers. You've seen some great games. So I'm just going to hand it over to you.
Sure, yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah, TGS was the first sort of big day there for this kind of stuff. We saw a lot of different developers and games there. The first one that really grabbed me, of course, though, as you do, I went over to see Earthian, the current version of it, which is the game being made by Ancient, including Yuzo Koshiro, back at the helm. It's a proper Mega Drive game, and they had it running on a BrownCon there, or a CRT, hooked up, ready to play, and I threw on the headphones and played it, and man, it is sublime. Like, they just everything about it, from the timing of when things happen, the combination of the music, the visuals, it feels awesome. Seeing this running on a real Mega Drive, I think this game's going to hit big. I'm super excited for it. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye out for. But yeah, the TGS itself was very rewarding for me because obviously I've been working hard on Japanese language studies and practicing, and I was able to basically do the whole show relying entirely on Japanese, including the PS5 Pro meeting, which was great.
Wow.
So everything went real smooth. I was very pleased with that. And that really opened doors in terms of just being able to talk with developers and just people and places we went, and like really, you know, kind of you remove that sort of like layer of like, you know, obfuscation that happens when two people don't speak the same language, and there's like interpretation and figuring things out. So that was fantastic. Just being able to chat with them. Like, again, the guys from Tango Project were there, just walking up to Iwatsuki-san, who is the composer for that's been doing all their games and also worked back with, you know, on all the old ones as well. And it was great to just chat with him, and also chatted with some of the engineers from Q Games. I have some cool stuff coming up there, and yeah, so the show was a blast. I would say it wasn't too bad on the business day either, not horribly crowded enough, but you know, public days turn into Gamescom where it's just like wall-to-wall people, which is not my thing. But then, so some other game things I finally went to the Mikado in Ikebukuro, which is where we stayed. I didn't know they had a Mikado there, and they had, which is a game center, right? It's an arcade. So it's 3 stories of lots of classic arcade games. So one of the games they had there I'd never seen before was elevator action Death Parade. And unlike classic elevator action, it is a light gun shooter, like a Time Crisis game, but it has a twist. It has a working elevator.
What?
Sorry, elevator doors. So they actually simulate the behavior in the real elevator doors. So you have a giant, tall, like looks like 65 or larger monitor that you're shooting at, which is in a vertical orientation. They've got working elevator doors in front of it, and then another smaller monitor above it, and 5.1 sound, by the way. So there's speakers hanging over you and all kinds of stuff. And you have, in addition to your light gun, you've got the controls for raising and lowering the elevator and closing the door. And there's like moments where you're like going in and out of these elevators, and you're controlling it there. But what I love is that they just simulate the motion of the elevator doors to such a realistic fashion. So like if you're like running back to the elevator and you get in and you slam the door shut, enemies are firing at you still. Like they simulate the doors like rattling around as they're getting hit with bullets and everything. It's freaking cool. It's a very fun thing.
So this is a physical...
It's a physical elevator door. Like not in front of the screen.
Peripheral.
What's that?
It's huge.
This would be an awesome console peripheral.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Oh, my God.
Elevator door.
The elevator door for home.
It's something Sega would have done in the Dreamcast era, for sure.
It does feel like that, yes. That was rad.
This is the last hope for our console. We need to release the door.
Exactly. I also spent a bunch of time playing Sega Rally in the arcade again, which is, you know, you just can't go wrong with Sega Rally. It's always good. But next to it was Thrill Drive 3, which I'd never seen in person before. And boy, does it kind of suck compared to the earlier ones. But it does have a seatbelt mechanic. You actually put on the seatbelt, and then as you crash and get into accidents, it like simulates, it like pulls on you and tugs on you in a weird way. It's visceral. But unfortunately, there's no seatbelt mechanic for home. They didn't sell that peripheral.
PlayStation seatbelt is the future. That's the PlayStation door.
Exactly. So that, that arcade was a blast. We played a ton of games there. I went there multiple times with different friends and everything. We also had a shopping day where we went out to Chiba with friend of the show, Matt Papa. He took us in his car and we went to all the hard offs way out in the countryside away from Tokyo and got a lot of good stuff. Lots of fun games there. That was a good old time.
Nice.
Then, there was studio visits. So as I did last year, we went back to M2 and Tenodai, which, they're kind of way out there, but, it's not too much to share this time. We got to see more Alesta Branch, which is still in the works, of course. But it was mostly like a chance to chat with the developers, which again, this year I was finally more easily able to do that. And it was great with all those guys. Although one of the younger developers who came in, I was chatting with him about some stuff, and I brought up, we went to another place. We had a PC-98 looking game with us of Puyo Puyo, in that it's like a big plastic box that sort of clasps shut. It's very cool. He commented on it, and I said, "Oh yeah, we got that there." And he's like, "Oh yeah, my grandpa collects those." And I was just like, oh no. I felt ancient. So yeah, that's a thing. But no, that M2 was lovely. It was so nice of them to have us out there again. It's just like a crazy fun house of stuff. They've got that one room just full of arcade gear, and they've, all the stuff that they do. And I think they should have a lot of cool stuff next year as well. They recently did the Castlevania collection, the DS games, plus they remade Haunted Castle, which was the not great arcade game that became a now great. It's basically Castlevania Rebirth 2. And they had Chibi Tech, who we got to meet as well. Excellent chiptune artist, amazing. She did all the music for it, and it's awesome. So that was cool. We also went to D4, as they're called, which is a company that specializes in releasing PC 88 and 98 games on modern platforms. So like classic Japanese computer games that are otherwise would have been very inaccessible. We got a chance to go over there and chat with him for a while with the CEO of D4. They have a really nice office in Ginza, which was pretty cool to see. And yeah, I really like what they're doing, and they have a lot of properties and IP and developer rights. Like they own all the Compile back catalog, for instance. And then we got a chance to go over to Sega. Audi helped set this up, of course, and we got to meet the legendary Mitsuyoshi-san, the composer who's done so much for Sega, but is obviously known for singing Daytona music. And then also Kobayashi-san we got to meet, who was the composer for Phantasy Star Online, among other projects. And it was great to be able to catch up, especially talking to Kobayashi-san. Like he joined Sega like right before the Dreamcast launched, so he was kind of just getting info about how the Dreamcast coalesced and all that. It's super cool stuff. It was really great to speak with them. And we had a really nice time there. So just seeing all those guys out there, it was a pleasure. And then on top of that, we met up with other game composers throughout the time and chatted with them and got to hear some great stories of working on old hardware back in the day. And that I enjoyed picking their brains and various sound modules and the different chips and hearing their different techniques, as well as what they're doing today. I also got a chance to visit the headquarters for Line, which is the messaging app that's now, I don't know if you guys use it, but it's very popular in Japan. I use it all the time. I got invited by a friend there and went to like the Friends and Family Day. So got to see a bunch of cool stuff there, and it was nice to see their office as well. So that was fun. And then lastly, I guess there's also, we did robot shopping. A friend of mine is like looking at different robots. So she's like, oh yeah, we should go check out some of these. There's like the Lavabot.
Robots.
There's like, I forget all the names of them, but they're cool. The little Lavabot is like it's like an animal. Like it rolls. It has like eyes that look, it has touchable surface, but it actually is warm, like a living creature. You walk in, it reacts to you and it follows you around, and you can pick it up. And if you hold it, it'll like fall asleep and everything. And I'm just like, it's very interesting, kind of futuristic stuff. It's a world that Richard has jumped into in the past with the IBO.
Yeah, I have the original two IBOs, ERS 110 and 111, I think, from memory. But the first two original IBOs. And they're interesting devices, very, very primitive by today's standards. But, they were trying things like, a certain type of AI to it. They did, quote unquote, learn. It was quite fun. They would just sort of trundle about, kick their ball, go back to their charging station when the battery would last maybe an hour, less than that even. But it was kind of fun, and it kind of, I think, spoke to some of the realities of living in Japan, or where it actually applies to the whole world at this point, which is that a lot of people just don't have time for animals, and keeping an animal is pretty much cruel if it's just sat on its own all day.
Right.
So this was kind of like an automated alternative.
Yeah.
You actually told me there was a PS2 game that was related to.
There is. I need to remember what the name is, but there is one PS2 game that actually allows you to connect to the IBO. So if you find your old IBOs, at some point, we'll have to see about trying that and see how they communicate.
Because the brain as such was on a memory stick.
Oh, wow.
And there was specific software that would just, put new software onto the memory stick, and the IBO did new things. So maybe that's the way they did it.
It's possible.
I'm not sure.
Because the modern ones sort of leveraged AI stuff that's been happening now.
Yeah.
And they're a lot more advanced in terms of what they can do and the way they react. It's honestly shockingly impressive to see them all together. Just the way that they act. It's like, it really does seem like you're looking at like some sort of living being. And when we talked to one of the shop clerks for one of them, I mean, they very specifically gave that use case of like, some people would like a pet, like a pet, but like if you live in a small little flat in Tokyo, you don't have enough time to like take care of them. It would be cruel to keep an animal in such conditions, right? So this kind of gives you a bit of that experience. It's fun to play with, without the cruelty part. Which, yes. Hey, I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that stuff was...
you heard it here first, folks. DF is against animal cruelty.
We are against animal cruelty. Be kind to your animals.
Get your pets spayed and neutered. Is that the usual thing that people say?
We know Rich has a cute little guy there.
I have a cute dog, yeah.
Dogatal Foundry.
But I work from home.
Exactly, so it's fine.
He's always in the background.
He always has your attention.
My wife is at home as well. Yeah, absolutely. So this was like a 2-week visit, right, John? You managed to cram in like a huge amount.
Dude, it was wall-to-wall action, wall-to-wall stuff. And this is just the surface. There was so much other stuff that we did throughout. I made a lot of great contacts, lots of people I'll be reaching out to again. It was extremely rewarding. So...
Brilliant.
I had a great time.
Awesome stuff.
I'll be back next year for a longer period of time even. So
coolio.